Stuka Joe here for another try. Yes, the third is the charm. So we're here in San Juan, Puerto Rico. It is Sunday, October the 2nd, 6 p.m. in San Juan, 3 p.m. in Los Angeles. It's 11 p.m. in London and midnight in Spain. And we have 21 attendees, so thanks for showing up. And before we get that hopefully we don't get another outage of power, let's place the banner here for the first game that we will be giving out today, which you guys know because we tried to give it out the last time. This is Night Fighter Ace, designed by Gregory M. Smith, published by Compass Games. And the first keyword is #NightFighter. So make sure you enter #NightFighter, and we will be giving that game out after we do our showcases. And the third game, we'll keep it a secret, but keep this thing interesting. Now, we keep adding things to the show here. We have added some language here. Let me see how this works without looking down, right? Of course. So the first thing is, what's going on with the channel? Well, you've noticed we're doing live streams, and this is like a work in progress. So we add elements each week, and it's a totally different experience from doing videos that I'm used to. I'm going to do, I do edited videos. I didn't do any this week because of the power outages. The power was very sporadic, so that didn't help. And we have an edited video coming up for von Manstein's Triumph. And so I hope to have that one next week. So with the channel, what I've been doing, which you don't see, is this is a year of changes for me. I'm changing editing software. The DaVinci Resolve is a professional software. It has a learning curve, and that's why the videos have been a little slow, the edited videos. But it is a marvelous tool. Once you're working with DaVinci, you don't want to go back. So on the tech front, that's what's been happening. Now, in the convention front, the only other convention that I'm going this year, because I went to the BellotaCon in January, is this one. This is the Siege of Vicksburg. And this is, of course, in Vicksburg, Mississippi. This is like having a convention in Gettysburg, but this one is in Vicksburg, and it is its second year. And I will be taking with me some games. And I was thinking, man, if I'm going to play a game about the Civil War in Vicksburg, it better be a Vicksburg game. So which Vicksburg games you know about? There's one that I'm waiting for that I thought that it would have been published by now. So I was thinking about taking it over there. And that's this game, which is the Hill of Death, Champion Hill, designed by Herman Luttman and to be published by Tiny Battle Publishing. Now, I checked Facebook, and the latest that I saw was that they're assembling the components. So I don't know if they'll be able to mail them in time for the Siege of Vicksburg. But if they won't, I'll be taking one or both of these games. This is Vicksburg, the Assault on Stockade Verdun. And this is something that happened in May 1863. This is a tactical Civil War game, and it's in Strategy and Tactics, issue 328, and designed by Eric Harvey. But that's a magazine game. I'll be taking that. And I'll also be taking the campaign for Vicksburg. This is designed by Paul Rohrbaugh, Volume 16 of the 20 Decisive Battles of the World. This is a series published by Turning Point Simulations. So I'll be taking that also. I know there's other Civil War games which may be bigger, so I can't take those with me. But if you know of any other Vicksburg games, let me know. It's a little late for me to try to purchase it, but it's good to know. So for the next year. So what else is going on? I'm going to be traveling to the Bellota Con in Spain, January 26 to January 29, 2023. And that's a convention that I go every year. This would be its 6th edition. So I'm looking forward to that. This time, no masks, hopefully, and there will be a large attendance. They have a large auditorium and beautiful facilities there. So let's start by going to our first showcase, because we have 2 showcases today, and this one is for von Manstein's Triumph. So I'll see you in a jiffy. Okay, somehow I hit the wrong button and I'm out of the studios. Can somebody tell me if you can see me right now? I appreciate that. So I can continue with this. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm here. And this is von Manstein's Triumph. Okay, we're back. Somehow I have a wrong button connection here. So this is von Manstein's Triumph. We tried to show the game the last time. We showed some of the game. Now, I've read the rules. I haven't filmed the video yet, but it's a very unique CDG because in the way that you play the cards, and it's also, of course, a block game, which also makes it a rarity. There's other CDG block games, not many, and one that comes to mind is the one by GMT, which is, let me see if I can find it here, which is Triumph and Tragedy. That's a block CDG game. And this one, of course, is an operational level game. And what it simulates is the 3rd Axis assault on the port fortress of Sevastopol, which you see here. And this is a game that is a 2-player game. It is, I would say, a mid-complexity game. And of course, being a card-driven game, the cards do everything. And the cards, I showed them before. Let me show you some of the cards again. The cards come like this. The artwork is by none other than Iván Cáceres. The system on which this game is based on 1797 Santa Cruz, a game designed by Iván Cáceres. So Francisco Ronco, the Spanish, the designer, just borrowed his system, and of course with refinements. And this is the game. And you have basically 2 general sets of cards. These are operational cards that you can use them during your turn to conduct certain actions. And when you have a combat, you can use combat cards to enhance your attack, or to, here, for example, the German 88 card nullifies the effect of the Soviet bunker. So the cards all have effects, different effects. This is a card that lets you move your units 4 spaces. This is a card that has a dual effect. You can use it to assault, move two spaces, and you attack by entering the enemy space, or you can react. And in this card, this would be you could attack during the opponent's turn, conduct a counterattack. So there's a different variety of cards in the game, and the game not only shows you the battle, but the game also brings certain player aids that I find very interesting and very useful. They summarize the effect of play. This is the terrain effects card, and this is a poker card with the effects of the terrain. And all NAC games are published in English and Spanish. When you see these components that have language printed on them, you have the Spanish version on one side and the English version on the other. So you have the effects of terrain here, and I like these because when you're playing the game, these don't occupy a lot of space. You can put them on the board where nothing's happening. You have here how to determine the number of combat dice that you roll. It uses a bucket of dice combat system. You roll one die for each block. Now there's a special NKVD block for the Soviets that rolls an extra die. Then you roll one extra die if your side is the strongest, the side that has the most strength points. And then you subtract one from the attacker's die roll for any of these effects. If you're attacking into rough terrain, if you're attacking across a river, or attacking across one of these arrows, which is the ferry crossings. And then you can add a die if you're using one of these specialized units, like the German armored unit at the left and the Soviet engineer flamethrower unit on the right. And of course, any effects that the cards give you. Some cards, like this artillery card here, for this mortar card for the Soviets, adds 2 dice, and this other card for the German adds 3 dice. So you have it all summarized there in this card. And then there is also the sequence of play summarized here in another card. And this is where this game is different from other card-driven games, because we're used to, for example, Paths of Glory. I'm the Central Powers player, I play one card, then you're the Allied player, you play another card, then we alternate, each playing one card. Now here, look, here we have the action phase. Let's go to the English side, English language. The German player plays all the cards he wants to play in the Axis action phase, and then the Soviet player can react with reaction and combat support cards. And then you resolve all combats caused by the German player, and then both players refill their hands. And then it's the Soviet action phase. The Soviet player plays cards, and you'll see that you can play various cards. You can play all the cards that are playable. And then if you cause any combat, you use any combat cards that you have in your hand. And after the Soviet player moves and we conduct the combats, then both players refill their hands again, and then you have the end of turn. So it's a different kind of CDG. One, of course, that, as all CDGs, depends on the cards that you get. So for example, let's suppose that this is the initial, oh, by the way, the Soviets have a hand of 6 cards, and the Germans have a hand of 8 cards, and that is constant throughout the game. So let's suppose this is the initial German hand, right? You have this artillery card, which adds 3 dice. You have this action-reaction card, allows you to move all units in 1 space, 2 spaces, or you can activate a formation to move all its units that are on the map with this card. When you do that, you use one of these markers. For example, let's say that I'm the German player, I want to activate this division, the 24th Division. Those units are color-coded pink, so they can be in different spaces. I play this card, like so, right? And I place the marker on top of the card to signify that I'm activating that division. Otherwise, if you don't play it like that, you're just activating all the blocks in one space, and there's a stacking limit of 3 blocks in this game per space. The Germans also have certain cards that have to do with air units. This is the fighter card, and what this does, it nullifies the Russian fighter card. And why do you want to nullify the Russian fighter card? Because the Germans have this Stuka card, which you can use to bomb an area with 3 dice or place an interdiction marker in an area, and anything that moves throughout the game in that area from the Soviets, you have to roll a die, and on a 6 you cause a hit. So you have a choice how to use it. Of course, the Soviets have a fighter card, and if it's not canceled by the German fighter escort card, then the Stuka attack doesn't occur. It's nullified. So you see the interplay between the cards. This is a card that allows you to move all units in one space, 4 areas. It's a redeployment card. So you have a bunch of these cards, and some are more specific than the ones I showed you here. So here we see the map, and just to give you a closer idea of the detail on the map, I like the color palette. I like the symbols used. You see, the Soviets have trenches which appear in red. I'm trying to look here for my tweezers, can't find. You see, these are trenches in red. The effect of trenches is that any German attack against a space with a Soviet trench that hasn't been neutralized, and the only way you neutralize it is by occupying the space, you only hit on 6s. Otherwise, you always hit on 5s and 6s. But if it's a neutralized trench space, you hit only on 6s. And then you have this effect here for rough terrain, so you would decrease one of the attacker's dice. So here we have, for example, the positions of the units, and we're looking at it from a German perspective. We see here the German units facing, and it's tough to see them because they're standing. But let's say we turn it around, so we can see now the Soviet perspective. Now we see the units on the Soviet side here. And the Soviets have basically all their units on the map. They only have 2 reinforcements, which are those 2 here that they can enter. I'm trying to remember how they enter the reinforcements. I just can't remember how. The German reinforcements work differently. The Germans can bring reinforcements at a cost of victory points. And you'll see the German reinforcements here. So you can choose to bring units of this formation at a cost in victory points, this other division here, and this independent unit. So, of course, at a cost of victory points. So that's a tough decision the Germans have to make. Now, let's see an example here to give you an idea, and this is where the transmission on the other day, I think, cut itself off. In the first phase of the game, there's actually a mechanic that I've seen in other games where there's an initial bombardment, and trying to look for the card here. Okay. Well, there's an initial bombardment phase. Here it is. Okay. And this is a cool mechanic. Here you see bombardeo preliminar, initial bombardment, preliminary bombardment. And here, the Germans can bomb certain spaces on the map, and it depends on the cards that you get. So let's say the Germans, they get this hand initially dealt, right? So they decide to discard certain cards. So let's say they'll discard this card, discard this other card, and they discard this card and this card, because they can't bomb with any of those cards. They could bomb with the Stuka, so they want to get more cards like the heavy artillery, and so they draw cards to fill their hand up to 8, and of the cards they draw, let's say they draw these cards. So now they have this heavy artillery with which you can bomb. And now the Germans start with a hand of 8 cards after they've selected or discarded any cards that they want. And now the Germans, for example, play this card as part of the initial bombardment. And this card is played, let's say, to bomb this area here. Okay, play that card. So the Germans would roll 3 dice, as indicated in the card. And I'm following this. This is actually taken from the example of play. And let's say that the Germans, they roll 3 dice, and the result is something like this, which is a miss, so nothing happens there. But that's an initial bombardment procedure. And then after that procedure, the Germans say, well, I have another card I want to use to bomb. That's going to be the Luftwaffe card, Stuka card. And the German plays this card, right? Play it there again, play it on any zone. And then the Soviets, they play their fighter card to try to neutralize that. Oh, I'm not showing it. Here it is. Sorry about that. Germans play their Luftwaffe card. Soviets play their fighter card to try to neutralize it. And now the German player counteracts that and plays his escort card. And that takes care of the Soviet fired card. And then the attack proceeds, and you roll 3 dice, and in this case you would have 1 hit and you would flip one of those units there. So that would be like a very bird's eye view example of the bombardment phase. So then we would have the German turn. The Germans then, they can play all the cards that they have in their hand. For example, they can start by playing this card, which is the redeployment card. You can move units, all units in 1 space can be moved 4 spaces. So let's say they're going to move this unit here up to 4 spaces, and it moves up to here. And this other unit moves here. So you're seeing that we're combining units of different colors, and that's okay in this game because as the German player, you want to be able to attack with maximum force. You can stack up to 3 units in a particular area. Now, you can now play another card as the German player. And let's say we play this card, an assault card. Now, if I just play the assault card as so, I can only activate all units in 1 space, but I want to activate all units of 1 division. And that's that pink colored division there. You see it here, that's the 24th Division. So I place the marker here. So I'm activating this unit here and these 2 units. But I want them to attack together with the units of this other division, which is the German 50th Division. So I play another assault card that I have. And play this card. You see, I've played already 3 cards in my turn as the German. And I place this marker here. Now what happens is that these 3 units, they move to attack the 2 Soviet defenders, right? And these other 3 units also join in the attack. Now the game brings a battle board to resolve combat, and we will be placing the units there. Here is the battle board, so let's place the defenders first. We have the defenders. And now you got to be careful when you place the attackers. Make sure you place them from the groups that they came from. So one group is going to be here, and this is the other group. So we'll take this group, that is the one that's here. We'll take that group, and we'll place it here. That was the one to the left, so I'll place it here. And they're all at full strength. There you go. And then we place the other group, these 3, and we place them in these other 3 spaces. So we have 6 German units attacking. Now, if they're not on the board, there's also assets that the Germans can bring into play, which are these, I can find them. The Germans can bring this marker here. This is this is to cut the effects of what is this, a minefield, if you have a minefield. Or you can bring this one. So let's say the Germans bring this marker in. Now this marker, once you attach it to one of these units, it's going to stay with the unit until you unattach it. Okay. So now the players would play cards to affect the combat situation. Okay. So let's say that the Soviets have those 2 units, and let's see what cards they have. Okay, this would add 2 dice, this mortar card. This is an assault card, you can't use it for combat. This is a card that would bring a bunker and an anti-tank unit. Okay. And you can play all the cards that you want. So, I mean, technically they could play all these cards. Okay. Or just to keep it simple, let's say they played this card, and you place all the cards face down here in this space here. And then the German player can do the same. He can place cards that will affect combat. And let's say they place this one here. You reveal the cards from both sides, and all the effects are cumulative. So the Germans would be rolling 1 die for each unit, 6, right? And because they have more strength than the Soviets, an extra die 7. And you would add another die for the Stug, 8 dice, and 11 dice for the, what do you call it, the card. So see, we have 11 dice here. Start by rolling 4. Got 4 there. Got 2 hits. 2 more 6. 8. 10. And 11. You have 3 6s and a 5, but because that space is a trench space, only the 6s count. So it's 3 hits on the Soviets, and just record the number of hits, and then the Soviets would fire back with 4 dice, And so it's 3 hits on the Soviets. Soviets roll 4 dice. And they score 1 hit. The side that scores more hits wins. So here the Soviets have 3 hits. And you always have to subtract from the strongest unit. So the first one goes to that unit, and then the Soviet player can decide 2 more hits, so 1 and 2. And the German player picks one of his 4 strength units. And then you have the retreat, the Soviets retreat, and so forth. So these are mechanics that are well known, block mechanics, but you have the interplay of the cards. And the combat cards, of course, you can use as many as you want. And after you resolve all attacks, you fill your hand up again. And so it's, I think it's a game that moves fast. It's very interactive. Both sides have different capabilities. The Germans have, they have actually more counterattack cards than the Soviets. The Soviets, of course, are holding ground. The ground also is a Soviet this is a fortification. You have this anti-tank ditch. Tanks attacking across the ditch in this direction. They also suffer a penalty. The Soviets also have these mammoth guns here. And you can see this coastal artillery. And as long as they have at least one coastal artillery space, they can use their gun cards. Let me see if I can find those cards here. See? The coastal artillery card. And fire three spaces away, 2 dice. So as the Germans, you want to neutralize those. So there's a lot going on in this game. I wished I would have filmed the video before today, but I couldn't. But this is von Manstein's Triumph. And it is going to be available, should be available soon at Noble Knight. And we got Mo here. Nice to see you, Mo. We got a bunch of people, 34 people, 36. We have power, we have people. That's great. So nice to see all you guys. And yes, hashtag Night Fighter. Okay, that's the first giveaway of the night. So we will be giving away this Night Fighter, and I have it right here. This Night Fighter Ace. And don't think that I don't like the game. Let me show you something. I like the game, but sometimes, you know, you forget that you bought the game already. So this is a second copy that I have. I don't really need 2 copies of the game. And this is Gregory Smith's game. I need to open some space for American Tank Ace, which I ordered. So this is Night Fighter Ace, solitaire game. You take the role of a German night fighter in World War II. And you have the usual set of components, the mats with the aircraft, the counters, the cards. There's a player aid with calls them the doll, what do you call it, the uniform, and that's for your decorations. So that's Night Fighter Ace. And we're gonna give it away right now. So let me pull my share screen. Okay, share this screen here. Let me maximize here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we have it, Night Fighter. We got 22 entries, and remember, I didn't put the rules. I can only ship to the United States and Puerto Rico. I can't ship to Europe because it's just, I gotta mortgage my house if I start shipping games to Europe. Maybe after the war's over in Ukraine, prices will go down, but for now, I can't ship to Europe. So here we go, we got 22 entries. Good luck, gentlemen, here we go. Night Fighter Ace is going to Harold Demi 1942. Harold, congratulations. Okay, Harold. And Harold, send me an email at, I'll show you the address here, in 24 hours to stukajoe@gmail.com with your handle, Harold Demi 1942, and your mailing address. And then I'll send to you a confirmation code. Just write it down in the comments section to make sure that you get the game and not somebody passing as Harold Demi 1942. I have to do that just to make sure. So that is our first winner of the night. Night Fighter Ace going over to Harold Demi. So let's stow it away for now. And this is von Manstein's Triumph. I'll be doing a video showing the example of play. The components are top-notch. They're really well done. The cards, the blocks, everything is so nice, you know. And it's a unique system. It's a different kind of CDG block game. Of course, it has elements that are not solo friendly, but I mean, not all games are solo friendly, but you can still play it with the blocks, you know, all showing if you wanted to. This is the NKBD unit that adds an extra die. So I'm really impressed with the quality of the game. And this will be available at Noble Knight. So let's continue. And I have another game to show here. And what I'll be doing is, I'm sure I won't have enough time. I'm going to show another intro, which is the showcase intro while I shuffle things around. And I'm looking at your comments. The Lazy Susan makes soloing easier. Definitely does, because the game moves, you don't move. So the Lazy Susan is, now I use it for filming because I have the camera in one place, so I don't want to be moving around the camera too much. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to, I wanted to show you guys something before we go to the next game. There's a game that won the Charles Roberts Award for Best Game, I think last year. And it's this game, show it here, Verdun Steel Inferno. This is a game done by a French company, Fellowship of Simulations. I purchased the game, and I did an unboxing, and then I didn't do a video on it, and people always say, hey, why didn't you follow up with a video? I'm gonna be very frank. I didn't like the game pieces. These, for example, these are French. This is a French army, or a French unit. And you place it on the board like this, and it is, for example, that means it is at full strength, right? And if it is spent, you just do this. And I really didn't like that. And then if it is in a trench space, this is the trench. That thing, frankly, turned me off. So I decided to make my own counters for the game, and still using wood. So instead of those counters, I made the ones that I'm going to put to the side here so that you can see. I'm going to put two French armies and a French trench. So these are the ones that I made. So these are still in wood. See, the wood's there. And this is the French army. And this is the tired or spent side. So I did these. I'll be uploading them to BGG. And this is the trench. This is for you guys who play with minis, this is like a base, a metal base. You see? I just put a sticker. I know a real artist can make a really nice trench artwork. I just made that. And I'm gonna do a video later to see how it looks with the game compared to these, and you guys let me know which one you like better, but I mean, I like the use of wood in war games, but sometimes it makes the game too generic, and especially a game like this, where you have like the most evocative cards that I've ever seen in a war game. This is a game that it's a beauty when you look at the cards. Let me show you the back of the box. See, look at that. And then the army's just, and I know that they try to convey the feeling that it's a meat grinder and everybody's the same and they're just throwing soldiers in there, which is kind of the thing with Verdun, right? It's a meat grinder. But I don't know, I think they could have improved the counters there. So I'll be doing a video about it maybe when I get back from the siege of Vicksburg. So let's put this away for now. And okay, so now let's go to our next showcase. And I have to remove all these things from here. And of course, you can tell I'm buying time here. So here we go. Let's go to the next showcase, and I'll put the intro on. I'll see you in a jiffy. I'm still here. Okay, got to do a longer intro. Here's the next game. Okay. So this is the Chaco War. This is, if you follow my channel, I'm a sucker for magazine games. I love magazine games. I know sometimes they're not fully developed, but I just like the topics that they bring, because the Chaco War is one of those wars that, you know, it's not widely known in the States. Obviously in South America it is. And it's a war that was in the 30s, in the interwar period between both world wars and between two of the poorest nations in South America, and nations that have a history of losing wars. This is the area between Bolivia and Paraguay that has a Chaco Boreal. This is like a very inhospitable area. There's special rules for this terrain. We call it Chaco bush. The bad thing about having two rule sets in your head, you can't remember one from the other. But the rules, there's rules that affect combat dramatically here in El Chaco. You have some forts. The Bolivians are in green, Paraguayans in brown. And the Paraguayans actually won this war. But if you remember, by the time of the Civil War, the American Civil War, there was a war that decimated Paraguay, and that is the War of the Triple Alliance. And there's a game about that also by NAC, which is this game, which I did cover. I did some live streams on this game. This is a game designed by Pedro Iñaki Martinez. This is the first original NAC game published. It's a card-driven game also. Very interesting. I mean, here Paraguay went against Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay and got slaughtered. About 80% of the male population perished. So this is the War of the Triple Alliance. So Paraguay had lost that war, and Bolivia had also lost a war in the 1890s, the War of the Pacific with Chile. So this is a territory that had not been defined precisely because it was so inhospitable. And the Bolivians had wanted to assure a route to the Paraguay River because Bolivia, it was landlocked. As a result of the War of the Pacific, Bolivia became landlocked. So Bolivia is looking for a route to the Rio Paraguay. This river runs through Paraguay, and I think it connects with the Rio La Plata, that goes all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So that's obviously, for commerce purposes, it's important for Bolivia. But of course, Paraguay has control of that area there. And at the beginning of the war, you see the situation. The Bolivians are attacking, but they run out of steam. And then here's where the game starts. And it's a game that has a sequence of play which is pretty interesting, because you have, for example, let me show you here, there are support markers. And I like uncertainty in war games, like the one like Herman Luttman throws in his games. Here you have the support. It's so hard to get supplies and support to this area. You have to roll. The Bolivians roll to see how many artillery support units, mortar units, armor units, air units, and supply columns each turn. So each turn is going to depend on how you roll here, and that adds an element of uncertainty. And the same thing happens with the Paraguayans. They have also to roll for support, and we have their table over there. Now, as all recent decision games, or I should say strategy and tactic games, magazine games they have improved substantially, and this is no exception. The map, of course, Joe Yost is one of my favorite map artists, because there's no ambiguities, everything is clear. The counters are by Nadir El-Farra, and Decision, I think, has made a good decision by keeping him as the graphic artist for the counters. They're very clear. They're printing thick counters, which I really like and we all appreciate, because they're easy to handle. So the components are, I mean, they're top-notch for a magazine game. You can't expect a mounted map board in a magazine game. Here we see the combat results table. It's odds-based. There's another Chaco War game, but it's an old command magazine game. And what I remember is that you had to count hex by hex. Supply was pretty tedious. But it was in Command Magazine, which also, brought a lot of titles that are unusual, which is what I like, is to explore conflicts that are different, and rare. Here we have the rule book, and this game is designed by Javier Romero, Spanish designer. For some reason, I keep gravitating to Javier Romero designs. He is the designer of Santander 37, you see it over there. He's also the designer of, you see, Balkans 1944, a game that I did on unbagging. And recently, like I think last week, Strategy and Tactics issue number 337 came out. This is Caporetto and Italy, 1917-1918, designed by who? Javier Romero. So it's I'm becoming a Romerista when it comes to war games. For some reason, I did the War of Turkish Liberation, a playthrough series that I love that game. So I think I like that he throws all these elements of uncertainty. I know some people are control freaks and they like to control all the action on the board. I like uncertainty being thrown there, because you can lay your best plans and then, you get the die roll like that. We're not getting any supply columns this turn. So that kind of uncertainty is interesting. So here you see, we saw the combat results table. The Bolivians, they have different commanders coming in. There was a World War I veteran, Kunt, who's a German. He comes in and they have different ratings and modifiers to add. So you have 3 different commanders for the Bolivians, which reflects in a very interesting way, and you don't control when they come in. That's another thing, it's uncertain when they come in. But it reflects in a very simple and elegant way the command problems that the Bolivians had. The Paraguayans had, their commander was Estigarribia, and he had no problems at all. The Paraguayan command was very unified. When you look at the units, it's the regular combat attack defense movement. So the units are very similar. Now there's one difference for the Bolivians. You see those dots in the Bolivians? Those are non-replaceable units. So as the Paraguayans, you want to be attacking those because once they are gone, they don't come back. There's replacements in this game, but these units do not come back. So that's another way of reflecting the fact that at the beginning of the war, the Bolivians were fully mobilized, but they didn't have any reserves left. So that's how the game recreates that. But I think it's a very well-produced game. I am looking forward to doing more playthroughs, and that's something I'm going to talk to you about very soon. This is one that really caught my attention. So this is Chaco War. Now we're going to announce the next giveaway. So let me put that here. The next giveaway is also an air game, World War II. Target for today, Legion War Games. So that's a game that was inspired by B-17 Queen of the Skies and designed by Steve Dixon and Bob Best. And Bob Best is one of the co-designers of B-17 Queen of the Skies. So the hashtag here, the keyword is target. Hashtag target. Now this one is my only copy. I'm going to give it away because nothing against the game. It's a great game, but I don't see myself doing a video on the game. It's very, let's say, charty. A lot of charts. But it's a great game, and I want somebody who will appreciate it to have it. So this is target for today. Let's take a look at the back of the box. Yeah, because you're going to think you give away all the games you have 2 copies of. No, this is my only copy. So here you see the back of the box. You see a lot of the very nicely done fighter counters for the Germans. Got the Me-109s, Junkers 88. You got the 262s and the Comet, the 163. And you can fly B-17s here. You can fly I think B-24s also. So you can fly a variety of bombers. Got a battle board. And you have the card. This is for the B-17G there. That's target for today. Hashtag target. And that's going to be our second giveaway today. We'll do that after the next 2 sections. So let's throw the game away. So this is Chaco. The Chaco War. It's a 10-turn game, not a lot of counters. The counters are 5/8 of an inch. Very impressed with the physical qualities, looking forward to playing this one. I like the topic, and I like, when you read a rule book and you're going, I like what I'm reading. Yeah, well I read the rule book and I say, I like all the elements that this game has. So now our next section is a blast from the past. So I'm going to put the introduction, and this time I think I'll have enough time to switch to the next game. So here we go, and where's the blast from the past? Okay, we now go to the blast from the past, guys. And wrong camera. France 1940, the game of France 1940, German Blitzkrieg in the West. This is a game designed by James Dunnigan. And this version is the Avalon Hill version. We have a question here from New York Raider fan. That's what magazine is Chaco in? That is, oh yeah, I forgot to say, World at War magazine, issue number 86. That's Chaco War. It's not the most recent one, it's the one before. Okay, good question. I should have said that before. Okay, we got, and we have Pete from Australia. Nice to see you over there. Thank you, Pete. Okay, we got 34. That's our world record for now. Okay, so let's continue here. This is France 1940. If you, let me see, I got 3 copies of this game. This is not the original copy I have, because the original copy, which is the leftmost copy over there, is not presentable in society. It's like worn. This is like the second copy. This is the game that I started wargaming together with Luftwaffe. I was 12 years old, and my uncle bought me this game. And I mean, at the time, it was state of the art, right? Nowadays, it's antiquated, but you see a lot of good things in this game that still persist today. And for example, this game has, and I think, I may be wrong, this game, I think, introduced that additional movement phase. You had the initial movement phase where you move all your units, and then you had the combat phase, resolve combat, and then you would have the mechanized movement phase where you just move your armored units. Of course, that was further refined later with Russian campaign, where you had the impulses, where you would have movement, combat, limited movement, and then a second combat phase in the Russian campaign. Here you wouldn't have that second combat phase. Here you would just have mechanized movement. And of course, the game has a lot of criticism because it used a combat results table, which was pretty odd. And I'm going to show you the combat results table, because it was based on a lot of counterattacking, which was pretty odd. So here's the combat results table. So if you roll, let's say 3 to 1, and you roll a 4 counterattack, and that means that all the defenders now can attack one of the attacker's units. Sometimes they would gang up on a smaller unit, and you keep on rolling until you don't get a counterattack result. DX, defender eliminated. BR, both retreat. So this was one of the criticisms of the game, but I really liked the aspect of the game that you could play the game with different starting options. For example, here we see the Allied Order of Battle. This is the historical Order of Battles that has a strength rating of 61, and it has a number of units. But you can see the French have a 4-6, their armor divisions are 4-6. In the other alternate Order of Battles like 1 and 2, their armor divisions are 5-6s. And of course, you're using the historical situation. So the French have the Maginot Line. And here you see the reinforcements. You have the French in brown, the British in bright red, which is kind of weird. And units are destroyed, and they're worth the victory points of their combat strength. The British are worth 3 times. And here you see the German historical Order of Battle. And you can see the German infantry corps are 7-6s. French infantry corps are 6-6s. And all are like that. But you see the Germans have some really strong panzer divisions, one 7-8, 3 6-8s. And of course, the idea that these units, mechanized units, can move after combat, well, you can create a lot of havoc if you break through the French lines, the Allied lines. And then there's also, if you're playing with the optional units, you have your parachute battalions, which you want to drop, especially at Eben Emael, the Belgian fortifications, which I'll show you. And then you have the air landing regiments. We had rules for that. The Germans also have artillery brigades to bomb the fortifications if you want to challenge the Maginot Line. Now the Maginot Line is this line that you see here. You see the line there. Each one of those hexes has a combat as defense of 10. And if you add any unit there, you add the value of the unit. So the Germans most likely will not attack through the Maginot Line. You see these hexes here are flooded hexes. So you obviously are very tempted to do the historical move through the Ardennes. And you see Luxembourg, you see the Ardennes here. A lot of forest there. Got some weak Belgian units, 4/6s. And this is just like a sample setup there. It was really tough for the Allies to win, especially because also the Germans have, the Luftwaffe is represented by these air counters. And the ground support element is like the base. I never liked that because you move the base and then you just trace 20 hexes from the base. So it was really a gamey thing because as the Allies, the Allies have a range of 18, so you want to stay away from the German bombers. I guess nowadays they would have done it a little differently. But these are the German, the air units are optional. You don't use them in the basic game. So this is my first war game. It's 10 turns. And if you capture Paris, each Paris hex is worth 30 victory points, I think. So obviously you want to defend Paris as much as you can. Now with this game, another thing that is really interesting is what you got for 10 bucks, because that's what this game used to cost. We have an Avalon Hill catalog here, which was of the time. I'm not going to show that. I could do a video on that. And this is the rule book, which is not a rule book. It's a rules folder. So you would unfold this thing like this, and it's pretty unwieldy. Let me see if I can. Oh boy, it's big. There you go. So this is one side, and this is the other side. And the rules. This is really, it's a James Dunnigan game, originally published in Strategy and Tactics with one of those two-colored maps by Redmond Simonson. I mean, Simonson was a genius, what he did with 2 and 3 colors. So this is like a deluxe version of that game. Avalon Hill published it. And one thing that you got in the game, which is super cool, is this designer's notes and campaign analysis. It's a really cool booklet. Luftwaffe also brought one. This was a time that not many games were published, so it seemed like a lot of resources went into the games. You get this book. I mean, nowadays we get a playbook, right? Which is the equivalent. You have like charts and information on the different participants here. So, and you had this little printout here. This is the Idiot's Game, recreating history with the dial plan. This is how you would have, what you have to do if you're playing the Allies to recreate their rush into Belgium and then getting surrounded and a breakthrough at Sedan by the Germans. Because in reality, I mean, you're playing a game like this, you won't probably, it's really hard to recreate history because you have to recreate idiot moves like this. So this is what you would have to do if you're playing the game and you want to recreate what happened historically. And then, of course, what I was talking about before, these are the different setup cards for the Allies. You have them on both sides. You have the strengths, the alternate strengths. And you have the ones for the Germans here. So this is France 1940. If you're interested in the game, there's a lot of copies still left because Avalon Hill printed, I think, thousands of this game. So, but of course, it's been superseded by other France 1940 games. Now, France 1940 games, I think, are still hard to recreate because, you know, the Germans are going through the forest with the tanks. It's not easy to recreate, but of course, a lot has happened since then, and I like to show these old games so we can appreciate where we were before and where we are now. So that is France 1940. And we've been going for 1 minute and 9 seconds. So we'll go to the next section, and which is basically the second giveaway. So let's go to the giveaway intro. Okay, so target for today. So I have to take a second just to input hashtag target, still on time. Hashtag target. And we are going now with our second giveaway here. Let me see here if I can get here to the giveaway. Just a second, guys. Hashtag target. Let me put it here. Okay, we've collected 17 entries for hashtag target. Target for today. Let's go to the share screen. And here we are. Okay, target, we got 17 entries. And let's see who the winner is. Good luck, guys. And the winner is Howard Montgomery. Congratulations, Howard. Target for today is yours, so drop me an email at stukajoe@gmail.com with your handle and your mailing address. I'll send you a confirmation code that you can post on the comment section of this video, and the game will be shipped. I'll be shipping them tomorrow. So that's that. We have our 2 winners for today. Congratulations. Let's get the game on its way here. Okay, so that's our second giveaway. And we've been going at it for over a minute and 13, an hour and 13 minutes. We have 34 people. Wow, a lot of people today. I want to thank each one of you. I couldn't go through your comments. We had to move here, but I have them here. I'm gonna try to do eventually these once a week, but for now it's gonna be once every 2 weeks. And I appreciate you guys showing up. Any suggestions for sections? I plan to integrate people like for different sections, so it would be nice, like a designer for a section when we're showcasing a game. We could do an unboxing. There's some games that could be interesting to unbox with somebody live. It's always good to have the reaction. So this is a work in progress, and I really appreciate you guys coming up. And we had power today, so the third is the charm. So I really appreciate you guys showing up today. And I think that's it for today. So without any further ado, I want to thank each one of you guys. and I'll see you in the next live bomb run. Okay? Take care, guys.